Now, I said before that I had a little chart to show you the projections. Feature phones, as I said before, are phones that have some features in them that enable you to do different things, but they're not enabled to the extent that smartphones are. Smartphones are actually, they've got all of the functionality. They have GPSs, they have text messaging, they have, you know, applications, you can do video, you can download a lot of stuff, you know, you have browser enabled, native, you have all of that stuff in a smartphone. But you can see how the projections by third quarter 2011, there is a belief that people are going to stop using to the extent that they're using now featured phones, and everybody's going to have some sort of a smartphone, so that they're going to be able to use the mobile arena for advertising. So, a smartphone. What is a smartphone? A smartphone is like your desktop internet plus all of the other functionality, like GPS enabled. Like I walk around with this computer, it doesn't know where I am. I walk around with this, and everybody that I've decided to allow to be on my location-based platforms know where I am. So that's the big difference. So that's why we say it's smartphone, desktop, and more. You know, one thing, it's personal, you carry it around with you. Again, you could go through this. We actually wrote a lot of information here because some people might want to read this later. You know, I'm not going to go through every little thing, but I think one of the things that's the downside, of course, of carrying things around like this is battery life. Although, you know, you can charge it in your car and all that, but it does, if you do a lot of this application stuff, it does wear your batteries down. But it's powerful. I just heard that not 600 megahertz, but it's going to be something like 1,000 megahertz in the very near future. 1.2. So yeah, so you know, this was done. This was taken about 2-3 months ago from some data that we had, and it changes all the time. Connected, you're always in a 3GS machine. You're always connected. Wi-Fi connections are all over. GPS enabled. Now they have this new thing, easy payments, where they're hardwired. I was telling you about that hardwired identification number. It's called a MIN, M-I-N, and you could basically do micropayments and different kinds of payments right from your phone. There's going to be barcodes and different kinds of enabled devices to do that. So this is really, you know, it's all new. It's really emerging market. It's not all there yet, but what's there is pretty exciting so far. And you have your two most, you know, Apple and Motorola Droid. There's Nokia as a player, but very little. The other players sort of are not really competing on that same level. Although BlackBerry, I think, will still be around for a while.
As long as government's invoiced.
So what's the difference between a native app and a web app? Now, in the future, by the way, we feel in the next couple of years this is not going to be an issue. Everything will be browser enabled. That's the difference. Right now, some of the phones have GPS enabled. It's very simple. They have GPS enabled in the phone itself, but it's not the browser. So if you go to the browser-based phones, you won't be able to use that GPS function. But in the future, those technologies are merging, and browsers will also be able to pick up your GPS location and some of the other functionality that right now, you know, you have to have a native app built. And that makes it difficult for developers too, because if you have a native app on the Droid, you need to know what the kit is for the Droid. If you go on the Apple, you have to redo the entire application, and you have to build it on the Apple. You can't cross-platform at this point. But there's a program called HTML5 which is coming out, and that's going to bridge that gap eventually. But they're not there yet. So in the next year or so, if you're still building applications, some may have to be on the native. They may be called native apps versus the browser-enabled apps. Okay. Basically, it says again, native apps are programs written using the operating system. The better experience is moving from the web, most screens. Now most people are going to move to a web-based website. Now, what does that mean? What's the difference between a mobile website and the website that you now have. Most people have a website, and I think to make it so it's not so confusing, I can go on my browser and I probably can pull up anybody's website. It won't matter whether it's built mobile or whether it's just your regular website. The browser is going to pull it up. The problem with that is that it's not built to fit on a small screen. It probably has a huge amount of information. If you're a hospital or a school or even Best Buy, it has so much information on it that it doesn't fit correctly on your mobile device. So people now are moving to build what they call a mobile version of their website. Now, what does that do? Well, if you come to a company like us, what's the first thing that we're going to think about when you come to build a mobile web? What is the key components that you need when your people are traveling? In other words, if somebody's picking up their phone and wanting to look at your business, what are the key things they need? And you need to restructure the architecture of your site to just have what's necessary. In other words, cut out all the stuff. They still can go to your website on their computer later. But when they're in their car or when they're at a conference like this, what are they going to need that they need to pull up on their smartphone? That's what you need to think through, and you need to restructure the architecture and the visual appearance of your site so that it fits onto the screen and it gives those people in 1 or 2 strokes the information that is most likely that they're going to need. So you need to reposition and rethink what it is, what information you need to give them when they're on the go. Okay? And people are doing that now. So you can see that with HTML5 on the right is where things are going, where it makes it very simple. A map, you pull it right up, you see where you're going. A lot of the GPS now are voice enabled, just like your navigation system. So if you talk in, you say, I want to go so-and-so, it gives you a street by street, way to get there. So basically, the difference between this and this, you don't need all of this stuff. Basically, you want to get right to the meat of the article if that's what you're, if that's what you are. If you're a news, let's say, you want to get right down to the main story and you want people to see it. So you really have to rethink that for mobile. And then you build a mobile web. Now that's not an application, that's just translating your mobile website, your regular website into a mobile website. Now, and by the way, just to let you know, an application is even a smaller piece. An application, I use the weather app as an example. You might put in, Waltham and put it in, and then you just hit weather app, and it always gives you the temperature in your, very simple. It's not giving you a whole lot of stuff. It's giving you, one thing. So a lot of times apps are getting you right into something, and you're doing something, you're interacting on a very low level. I mean, I do the Red Sox scores, so I want to see the score, I want to see what, and it gives me an update every minute of the play. But it's not going to give me, the Red Sox page, the website. It's just giving me scores. Because that's what people, when they download apps, really want some piece of information, and they want it now, and they want it updated regularly. So think about that's the difference. This is not a mobile web. This is just basically, an app. So what are the benefits of apps? Well, for consumers, basically available on all platforms, you're connected to your device, it's easier, basically from location-based, if you're at the store, you're at the point of sale. So really, that's really important. But the web apps, the low development cost, if you can do it, there's a lower development cost and a low maintenance. Some challenges, basically it's limited to the programming languages. So, a complaint browser support is not that great. Basically it's hard to develop these things. I'm not going to go into that detail because I want to get to the meat. Native apps, again, this is sort of going to go away in the future, but these are the ones that the developer has to develop very close to the actual machine and know what the capabilities of that machine is, and then work within that platform. But again, as soon as this HTML5 comes out, it's going to help to not have to do this on double. You won't have to do it double. Right now, you still do.